Hey boys and girls, Cursed Curator here again with some more art. So today we have a lovely lineup of free art pieces and free sculptures, so that'll be kind of fun. So hopefully this goes pretty well because I had a whole damn day today and last night. Had to reset my entire PC, had to remember all my settings by heart for my OBS, so yay. It should hopefully go good. So, our first thing here is Village Scene is an oil on canvas painting depicting Indian village life, completed in 1938 at Simla, India, by Hungarian Indian artist Amrita Shirgil, 1913 to 1941. In March 2006, it was sold for 1.6 million. So, this is by an artist we've seen a number of times on this series thus far. And honestly, at this point, she might be getting her own Legend Lens. Though I have a whole another artist I actually want to do before her. So that'll be, in the pipeline, as always. So let's actually see the art piece. Let's get a good look at it. Oh, man. I think she really captured what she was going for here. This is obviously no village life. You got three people here, I suppose. This I feel like is a person. Yeah, there's the legs here. She's looking away, or he's looking away a bit from these other two people. Might be another person right here too. Kind of hard to tell. And we got this person over here who's just like staring at their hands, counting something. And there's a ladder or a pathway right here. This is something that I think, and it's kind of insulting saying this because I feel like this is something I would see at back in my high school for what people would try and attempt to do. This is obviously professional. This is very well done. I'm not saying it's in the same exact level, but it's clear this is a bit more advanced than that. Just a bit. Overall, I really like the colors because it does really scream India to me. It really does. Lots of browns, lots of dark colors. I think India is one of the most beautiful countries on the planet. Just off rip. I do know there's a lot of contentious things here and there said, but that's just how it is sometimes. But overall, I really like this piece. Let's go on to the next lovely piece. Les Fetishes, I probably said that wrong, is a painting by Louis Mallow Jones. It is in a collection of the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C. The United States. It is one of many in her body of work, featuring African masks, and is one of her best-known paintings. Description: the painting comprises 5 different African masks painted in the style of modernism. A red religious fetish is also foreground. The mask and fetish appear to float in the mass of a black painted canvas. History: Les Fetishes was completed by Jones in 1938 in Paris. When Jones was attending high school, she met Grace Ripley, an academic and costume designer. Jones worked with Ripley after school and on Saturdays, where Jones would become familiar with exotic costumes and masks. Jones credits her work with Ripley's mask as the inspiration for Les Fetishes in an ongoing interest in masks. When Jones died in 1998, it was one of a small section of works displayed in a memorial exhibit at the Coricon Gallery of Art. It was acquired by the Smithsonian with funding from Mrs. Norman H. Green, Dr. R. Harlan, and Francis Musgrave. It was sorry, this is a word I'm not trying to pronounce too well, but it was accessioned in the museum collection in 1990. Insight about Les Fetishes. The painting is considered a seminal work of Jones. Holland Cotter recognizes it as emblem of Black American self-identity. I cannot. Oh, good lord! I should have actually splashed my face. I cannot see too well. Let me take a little sip of water. So let's take a gander at this beauty, because this looks super cool. It does not have a free license, so I think this is the best we can look at here. I mean, overall, look at this. This is perfect. It kind of reminds me of C3PO a bit. I see what they're going for. There's multiple masks here. even over here. At first, I thought it was like a giant black void, and we have this central single mask at first, but no, it's a whole bunch in one. I think the most eye-catching one though is this one. You know, it stands out the most in the whole black void going on here. But overall, I love it. Great work. Now this one from my boy Stalin. Stalin and Vroshilov in the Kremlin. I cannot speak Russian, so I'm going to try and pronounce this. Is a 1938 painting by Soviet painter Alexander Gersmazov. It depicts Soviet leaders Joseph Stalin and Kemet Vroshilov walking near the Moscow Kremlin. Since 1941, it is an exposition of the Trekovov Gallery in Moscow. In the Stalinist era, its replicas were very widespread, its copies being made for government institutions. Jan Plamper, a German professor studying Russian history, calls it an important sample of socialist realism and a cult of personality in art. And it's another piece that does not have a free license, unfortunately. But from we can see here, get a little bit of zoom in action. Oh man, I think it is one of the best pieces to come out of Soviet Russia. Is it really captures that whole like strong leader vibe going on in a very prosperous country, very beautiful country. No matter how one might feel about Russia and its various incarnations, it is a very beautiful country. That much is true, and I think this really appeals to that. I dig it. Okay, statue of Will Rogers is a statue created by Joe Davidson, two versions of which were unveiled in 1938. Background and history. Shortly after entertainer and social commentator Will Rogers was killed in an airplane crash on August 15th, 1935, the state of Oklahoma passed a bill to authorize that its second statue for a National Statuary Hall collection in the U.S. Capitol Building in Washington, D.C., be one of Will Rogers, on the recommendation of Betty Rogers, Will Rogers' wife. The sculptor of Joe Davidson's was awarded the commission. One second, I really need another sip of water. Oh boy. Davidson and Rogers had known each other for a number of years, during which time Davidson had frequently attempted to convince Rogers to pose for him. Oh boy. And Rogers had always put it off, referring to Davidson as "you old headhunter." Davidson prepared for the commission by requesting Fox Films, for whom Rogers had made many films. Rogers had acted in dozens of movies, 50 silent and 21 sound, to loan him films that he then screened in his Paris studio, where Davidson worked, talked, and lived nothing but Will Rogers. He then procured the service of a model but built roughly like Rogers and modeled him in clay nude. Oh my god. He even asked Mrs. Rogers to send him some of Rogers' worn clothes, which still contained his personality, which she did, and they were modeled on the nude clay. When he had completed his life-size clay model, he made a plaster cast and sent it to the Bassani Foundry in Paris, where two casts were made, one for the National Statuary Hall collection and the other for the Will Rogers Memorial. Been recently opened in Claremore, Oklahoma, near Rogers' birthplace. When the statue was unveiled, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt broadcast a message live on coast-to-coast radio from his home in Hyde Park. The plaster cast was returned to the U.S. and donated to the Will Rogers Memorial Fund, a charity established by the movie industry as a tribute to Will Rogers. In 1936, the WRMF was an eventual replacement for the National Vanderbilt Artist Fund, which operated social assistance programs and a hospital for Vadvulians? I can never pronounce that. Suffering from tuberculosis. I cannot, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's one of the few words. The hospital was in Saranac Lake, New York, and often referred to as the NBA Lodge. As a result of an agreement between vaudeville producers and movie moguls, the hospital name was changed to the Will Rogers Memorial Hospital, where the plaster cast was on display until the hospital closed in 1974. After the hospital closed, a research and teaching lab was established called the Will Rogers Institute at Burke Rehabilitation Hospital in White Plains, New York, where the cast was on display until it moved to Los Angeles in 1997. The plaster cast was restored in 2004 by Irina Kalinsku, Objects Conservator and is among the secure holdings of Will Rogers Motion Picture Pioneers Foundation, the new name of the WRMF, as as of 2002. The Washington D.C. version of the statue was unveiled in 1939. At the art unveiling, at the unveiling on June 6, Senator Joshua B. Lee said of Rogers' effect on the United States during the Depression, his humor was the safety valve for American life. That was a lot. So we have two things to stare at here because there are two particular iterations of this. So, yay. Let's zoom in. Okay, so it's a very low quality image, but I think the person who did this, they did such an amazing job. Let me get the name here. Joe Davidson. This is peak. I've seen a number of statues that kind of resemble this in a sense. There is one of MLK that's kind of like this, but it's a bit more. I'm pretty sure the material they used primarily in that was bronze, so it's a bit of a darker, brownish tint to it. At least I'm trying to recall. And this one is a lot higher quality, as you can see. And I never in a man I didn't like. Will Rogers, 1879 to 1935. So he died just before the kickoff of all the war stuff. Just a few years off. So as we can see, I think this one's built a bit stronger. Obviously, I think this one might be a bit bigger too. I could be wrong. Obviously, I've never seen these actually in person. But overall, I really do dig these. This one might be my thumbnail. We'll see though. Just a quick little sip of water. Rainy Taxi, also known as the mannequin rotting in a taxi cab, is a three-dimensional artwork created by Salvador Dali in 1938, consisting of an actual automobile with two mannequin occupants. A male chauffeur with a shark head is in the front seat. Wait, is this actually an art piece or actually a statue? Oh boy, it's actually other artworks. So I guess this is a male chauffeur with a shark head is in the front seat and a female passenger sits in the back seat. A system of pipes causes rainfall within the taxi. The female wears an evening dress, her hair is tousled, and lettuce and chicory grow around her. Live snails crawl across her body. The whole thing is watered by rain falling inside the car, and generated by an ingenious system of pipes, activated by the public by a £1 coin, or is it €1 coin changer? And the version of it exists at the Dali Theater and Museum. The piece was first displayed in 1938 at the Gallery Buce Arts in Paris of the Exposition Internationale du Tourisme. These are words. Organized by Andre Breton and Paul Allard. The main hall of the exhibition was designed by Marcel Duchamp and Wolfgang Paulin, who was responsible for the supervision of water installations. A reconstruction of the original installation is installed in the open courtyard of a Dali Theater and Museum in Figueres. So take a better look at this. Okay, there's a lot. The first glance here is this feels like an SCP cryptid from that whole universe going on there. I can totally see this being an image used for that type of content. I think this is really freaking cool. Very ingenious for that whole era. I imagine there of course was probably some more elaborate pieces going on. This might be a more of a middle ground one, but overall, I kind of wish the image was not in black and white and an actual color to it. But that's just how it is. So you put in a coin and it will make things happen. That's interesting for a art piece. Oh boy, that's some capitalism right there, baby. Let's make it happen some more. Of course, I got some capitalism out of that. Next up is Winged Victory. And there is a number of things here, so we will be reading this as much as we can. So, Winged Victory is a World War I memorial in the U.S. state of Washington, which consists of 4 figures of uniformed persons atop a granite pedestal, eclipsed by a 5th figure depicting the winged victory of Samothrace. Winged Victory is located in the front of the insurance building and adjacent to the Washington state capitol in Olympia, Washington. Completed in 1938 by Alonzo Victor Lewis. Is dedicated to military personnel from Washington who died in World War One, and is notable for its inclusion of a Red Cross nurse in the group of figures depicted. That is super cool. Quite progressive, especially for this time frame. But obviously, it wasn't just men in the war. Obviously, women weren't fighting that much. They were still on the front lines, where providing that aid, that men desperately needed. So that's fairly good, very good. Background: in March 1917, anticipating the United States declaration of war on Germany that would come the following month, Governor of Washington, Ernest Lister, ordered the mobilization of the Washington National Guard, whose units had only recently returned from service in California during a Mexican border emergency. On August 5th of that year, the 2nd Washington Infantry Regiment was pressed into the federal service, later joined by the 146th Field Artillery. During the year and a half in which the U.S. was engaged in hostilities, a total of 60,617 Washington men served in deployment. Served in deployed National Guard units. Our United States Army, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, or United States Coast Guard. During the conflict, 1,642 were killed or died of disease. Rest in peace. Funding and construction. In 1919, the conclusion of hostilities, Lister called for the erection of a monument to the citizens of Washington who were killed during the war. The Washington State Legislature subsequently appropriated $50,000 for its design and construction, with funds partly raised through the sale of a state forest. The balance of $100,000 cost for the monument was provided in grants from the United States government. Seattle artist Alonzo Victor Lewis, who was already popular, who already had a popular reputation in his state, was commissioned for the sculpture. His plans for it were approved in 1927, and the statue was completed in 1938. It was formally dedicated in a ceremony held on May 30th in 1938. It was unveiled by the mothers of 2 Washington soldiers who had been killed in action. Stephen Chadwick, then chairman of the American Legion's Americanism Committee, and later National Commander of American Legion, delivered the ceremonial charge. Later history. Following the completion of the Winged Victory, which was Alonzo Victor's 3rd World War I memorial statue, he was named the statue's sculptor laureate. The statue was sandblasted in 1979 to remove the stains on its surface. In 1988, the sculpture was painted with a red coating of brass powder and acrylic base, giving it a golden hue. This layer was removed in 2012, and the statue was restored to its original bronze color. Sentinel observances of World War Sentinel observances of the end of World War I were held at the Winged Victory Memorial in 2017, which were keynoted by Lorraine McConnell or McConney. I probably butchered that. Winged Victory has been called one of the most recognizable structures on the campus of the Washington State Capitol. In wintertime. Oh boy. Design. The bronze statue is elevated on a granite base. It features a Winged Victory from the classical mythology, standing with wings displayed behind a United States soldier, of a sailor, a Marine, and American Red Cross nurse, all of whom appear to be marching towards the east. The Winged Victory motif was a popular theme for World War I monuments of the era. Though the inclusion of a Red Cross nurse makes the Olympia statue more complex than most, each of the 4 sides of the statue granite base is inscribed. On the east side, which is inlaid with a bronze representation of a seal of the state of Washington, the inscription reads, "To the memory of the citizens of the state of Washington who lost their lives in service of the United States during the World War, 1917 to 1918. On the north side is a biblical quotation from John 15, verse 13. "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend." On the west side, their sacrifice was to vindicate the principles of peace and justice in the life of the world. On the south side, they fought to safeguard and transmit the prosperity, the principles of justice and freedom and democracy. That is really freaking cool. We're gonna open up some of these. Oh, from this side, it looks so cool. And we'll go with this too. So I think this will probably be the best one to see first. Up close and center, we got our winged victory here. And we got our sailor, our soldier, from the army, and the Marine Corps guy. I'm almost certain that's the order. And of course, our lovely Red Cross nurse. Got their guns, which, wow, the detail on these guys is pretty insane. I think what's the most unnerving part about the statue is the faces. On the people down below, while this looks fine, these guys all, especially this guy, looks pretty unnerving. At least to me. The detail is so hyper though. The thing that draws my eyes immediately is the pockets, and of course the satchel. That is really cool. It makes me wonder how much, like, obviously, this took years and years and years to get done. And at first, I'm like, wow, this took a long time, and I see why now. Holy crap, this took a lot of effort. That's for certain. And we'll go over here. This one's a bit more close. Okay, so it's not as bad as I was thinking with the first one. Still a little unnerving, but overall, I dig it. I dig it. So this one's my thumbnail. At first, I was going to do the Will Roger one, but this one is pretty iconic to me. And from the side, I think this side looks really cool, just because it's clear they're marching forward, and the other side, the center, it facing front, it didn't really look like that to me. They were just posing for a pic, and now they're actually going for it. Overall, I enjoyed this. This has been a very fun art journey episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe for more, and peace.